Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Open Book. This is your host and founder, Lakeisha Mabry, and tonight you are in for a treat. We have Mr. Kevin Brigance here with us tonight. Woo!
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yes, and we're going to have some fun tonight. He is a fun guy. I even had one of my friends, she saw the flyer and she said, I want to watch. He looks fun. I say, he really is fun. Okay. And so we know that Father's Day is next Saturday or next Sunday, I should say, June
Yes, it is.
20th. But this is a special Father's Day edition of the Open Book. We're considering this like the women. We had Mother's Day and we had a whole Women's Month. Well, we're not gonna leave the dads out. We're gonna do
Come on.
a men's month, okay? This is not the only show this month. We will have a special pop-up later on this month, but I'm gonna say that it's a surprise. But tonight we want to just have some fun. We're gonna talk about different challenges that fathers may have. Different things. What does it take to be a father? And then Kevin, he's going to talk about his program, Dads on Purpose, with us tonight. So before we get started, some of you may be new to the Open Book. And so I want to just kind of give you a brief description of who we are. The Open Book, we believe in literacy. Okay. This platform is not only where we read a variety of books, but we actually have a chance to talk to and engage with the actual authors. Transparency. We have a lot of real talk here. And tonight you will see that we're just going to be real talk. We flow. Transparency, one person said it like this: transparency is the new ministry. People want and gravitate towards what's real. Okay. And so we just love to be transparent, relevant. What's relevant to you in that particular month or that time? I know, like, for example, this month is Father's Day. So we're talking about all things fatherhood and having some men or male authors, I should say. And then also, last month we did the Mother's Day. So, what is relevant during that time? And then, last but not least, community. We are a community, but we also host different things for the community, like forums and panel discussions, and also donating canned goods. One time we donated on behalf of the Open Book canned goods to a church. And so we do believe in that particular type of community outreach. Now, another thing, since this is Father's Day, and I did this for Mother's Day, so dads, I'm not leaving y'all out. We're gonna do it just as hard. We're gonna do it just as hard for Father's Day. I know Bishop Robert Nichols. I follow him on Facebook, and it's so funny every time I see his posts. But he's been reminding the women that Father's Day is coming up. Like, he will put what he wants. He said, because I know y'all forget, and a lot of people say you can call any restaurant right now and get a reservation for next Sunday, but Mother's Day you can't get a reservation.
Yeah.
So this month for Father's Day, I do want to stop and honor my father, Stanley Hamilton. He married my mom when I was 7 years old, but when I tell you he stepped into that role and really, really took care of me, my brother. My brother is his real, son, but he took me as his daughter. He doesn't look at me as a stepdaughter, but I really, really thank God for Stanley. I give you a shout out. Thank you for just being the best and taking great care of us. And then also my spiritual father, Bishop Kevin Dickerson. He is the pastor of Day Spring Family Church. He has poured into our lives throughout the years and just really, really teaches us the word of God. And so thank God for you all as well. And then a little Father's Day humor. Now, I was going to show a video, but I was like, you know what? Let me not, because there's a little cursing up in there. Okay. But this made me laugh. I have a couple of memes I want to show you about Father's Day. So Chris Rock, if you haven't seen one of his stand-up comedy shows, he talks about the fathers, you know, everyone leaves the fathers out. What do the fathers get? The big piece of chicken. That's how he said. Because a lot of people, you know, we spend a lot of money
Yeah.
on the mothers, you know. And Kevin, like, even when I went to Walmart recently in the Father's Day section, I promise you, no lie, even today I went, they have just a section of an aisle dedicated to the fathers. But for Mother's Day,
they get the whole store.
we had everything. We had like
right. And then for Father's Day, we get tools, car wash and stuff. Like, we don't get anything for pleasure. We get things to do more work.
Or you get the barbecue pit.
Right?
Barbecue pit on Father's Day. So this one from Chris Rock says, nobody ever says, hey, Daddy, thanks for knocking out this rent. I sure love this hot water. It's easy to read with all this light. You know, like, those are huge things. I thank God for that. And what's funny, excuse me, but my stepfather, or my father, I should say, put me on his car insurance, like even as a grown-up. People don't realize when you have to start paying your own car insurance, hey, that's expensive. So little stuff like that is huge. The rent, hot water, lights, all of that is expensive, but we don't realize how expensive it is until we get in those roles and have to take care of it our own selves. And then last but not least, he says, what does Daddy get for his hard work? The big piece of chicken. Was this like the motto or thing in your home, Kevin?
You know what, man? I think there isn't one. Like, I don't even make a big deal of Father's Day just because they do love on me all year long. Right. And but a big piece of chicken, yeah, that's what we get. You know, it's like, hey, happy Father's Day. This is it. There you go. You done. But yeah, it's again, tools, car washing stuff. Right. Like not nothing to be like, oh, I could go relax with this. It's like, oh, I can go fix this gate you've been asking me to fix this whole time, or I can go change the oil now that you got what I needed to change the oil with.
You know, like, I'm serious. And I remember doing that even with my in my household when I was growing up. We did leave him the big pieces of chicken. Like, my husband though, and shout out to my husband. He's on daddy duty right now. I thank God for my husband. I give him a shout out and thank him for being a great father. But my husband, it's not like that with him. He doesn't care if he gets a leg.
Yeah.
You know, so those things have changed. But like you said, it's so much harder to think about, okay, what is something that's special to Dad? And that by them having a limited number of gifts for fathers, it makes it even harder. Like today, no joke, me and my husband, this is real talk. You know what? What's the song I can play in the background? You know, I want to play a little music. So I said, Papa was a Rolling Stone. You know, I was just joking. Y'all don't get too many songs either. He was like, girl, you better not play that. You gotta play My Father or something by Luke. I was like, that's the only thing I can think of.
We have get everything. Yes. And I think that's sometimes just the gender identity and the gender role society putting that on. Listen, I want to get my nails done too. I like pedicures too. I want a day spa too. You know, I work hard. My shoulders tight. Like, so I think it's sometimes we push it towards the gender role and what Dad should do. Right. He should be the protector, the fixer. So let's give him those gifts. But hey, yo,
that's a good idea.
I need some nail work too. I need some nail when they get them tweezers and get all in them cuticles. And I enjoy that too. So I think it is. Sometimes it's difficult because we're only thinking of the manly things dad can do, but there are some things that we would love to, like, hey, we enjoy peace and quiet too. Y'all can take the kids and leave us at the house. We'll barbecue while y'all go out.
That's why we buy that barbecue pit. I saw one the other day I wanted to buy.
Right.
That is good. And I never thought about that. The massages, getting nails done. There are a lot of men that like those things, and massages for sure. Because I was thinking, okay, what can I get my husband? I was thinking of a couple of things. I really try to give him stuff throughout the year. So it's not like, oh, I'm just gonna go ahead and bless him this one time.
Right.
Like you said, we forget about those types of things, as for a father. Massages, getting nails done, and so forth. We try to go get clothes, same clothes,
underwear, socks.
Those things are needed, just like the rent, the lights, and all. Can we deviate from that?
Right.
That is so true. Y'all, tonight we're in for a treat. This guy here, when I tell you, I've known Kevin since 2008. I started, 2008. Started teaching at Eastern Hills Elementary School, and I remember that he would come and pull out some of the young men during their lunch or something, and y'all would have conversations. But I can say that the kids were so excited to see him. Every time he would come, they would be so excited. So I've just been following him since I left that school. We kept in touch and contact, and he's doing some awesome things. And tonight he's going to talk to us about some things with Father's Day, what it takes to be a father, and also about his program and what they're doing with Dads on Purpose. So tonight we do want to say thank you and welcome Mr. Kevin Brigance. And y'all, he'll probably talk to you about his family, but I do want to say his wife is so nice. Oh my gosh, she works in the same district. Mrs. Brigance. Is it Delina? That's how you say it?
Darlena.
She works actually at one of my friends' campus. They work together, and I said, "Oh my gosh, y'all know each other?" Because both of them are just sweet and wonderful people. And so I do want to tell her hello and thank you for sharing your husband with us tonight. So, Kevin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So just a little bit about myself. I'm originally born and raised in Houston, Texas, decided to go to UNT where I did my undergrad career. And then I decided to stay in the North Texas area because my wife was like, we ain't moving to Houston. No, I'm just messing. She didn't say that.
Hey, I'm from H-Town now. I can tell you some things.
But just decided to stay in the area because our family was here and we were getting ready to have a baby. And what launched me into my career was that Dallas was doing pull up your pants campaign where they were getting ready to write tickets to people who were sagging in the street. I was like, that doesn't make sense. That's not going to happen. That's not going to help anybody, right? And so that's what got me started into advocating and wanting to mentor to young men. And I started mentoring, and it was around 2008. It was around 2008, 2009 when we actually started the programming. And so we started Becoming King, which is just a male mentoring programming focusing on mentoring to young men. And that's what led me into the elementary guidance counseling grant, which allowed me to come to your school and pull out the young men for mentoring. And so for 10 years, I was able to mentor within Fort Worth ISD School District and really help and develop a lot of young men from elementary school, middle school, and high school. Within that time, around about 2012, 10, 12-ish, we partnered with Project Reach, which was another department within the district, which focused on adolescents, pregnant students, and students who were having kids, about to have kids, already had kids, just wherever they were in that process, but they had kids and coming to school. And so what they wanted to do was start a program that would connect the fathers and get the fathers engaged and get the fathers involved. And that's what started my journey mentoring fathers through Teen Fatherhood. And so we did that through fathers to dads. So I'm sorry, my mind went blank for a second.
No, it's okay. Fathers to
So
dads. So that was the one after the first one.
yes. So
Okay.
after the mentoring programs throughout the district, that opportunity came up later throughout the career in my career. And so we started mentoring teen fathers. And honestly, the bridge between mentoring just regular students and mentoring teen fathers just connected so well. So I did both. I still mentored in the middle school and elementary schools, while I also mentored teen fathers in the high schools. And so by the time the pandemic got here, it was like, okay, what we gonna do now? And so that's when I partnered with my co-host, who is Josh Ashford. And so we started Dads on Purpose podcast. And so it's just a podcast that's just developed for dads by dads, just to support dads. We've talked about intimacy. We talked about having marriage and doing marriage together. And we've talked about mourning, death, and getting through life and having
I need to be on this on
right. No, and our listeners are dads and is women and men. And so everybody's enjoying all the information that we're able to provide through our podcast. And what we noticed was not only were the men enjoying our podcast and our Instagram, they also needed a spot to meet. And so that's when we started 2 months ago, started Dads on Purpose virtual meetup first Sundays. So every first Sunday of the month, we have a virtual meetup. You sign up. And so we talk to men about what kind of dad that do they want to be, because oftentimes we're trying to become these dads that we see on TV. We try to become these dads that we've seen in life. We know we don't want to be the dad that we didn't have, or that we right. And so we talk to dads like, hey man, what kind of dad do you want to be? And not only what kind of dad do you want to be, but what kind of man do you want to be? And then after we talk about what kind of dad, what kind of man, we also explore what kind of parent or co-parent you want to be, because oftentimes we call that the triple double, because all of that plays a role in our manhood and our fatherhood, and then as working as co-parents. And I tell people, listen, even though I'm married, I am still a co-parent. Why? Because my wife parents totally different than I parent, and we have to compromise. We have to come on some agreements. We have to figure it out. And so because you're married doesn't mean that, everything's going to work together because y'all are married. No, she has grown up she grew up in Fort Worth, Funky Town. I grew up in Houston. We did things a little bit different.
You were from Houston.
Yeah.
Okay,
see, H-Town.
Yes, H-Town 44.
But so we grew up differently. And so even though that we're married, we're still co-parenting. And I think a lot of people, that's a signal, especially for married couples, that's a signal. It's like, oh, even though I'm married and even though I have a voice, we're still co-parenting, when we have to come to an agreement on how we're going to raise our kid for the best interest of our kid. So, hey man, I could talk forever.
Because see, now you just said a whole mouthful. I have to go back. Okay, how many kids do you have? And did I hear you correctly when you said you have one on the way?
No. So we only have one child.
Oh,
so
okay.
We're good.
You said she's about to have one.
No.
I'm glad I clarified that.
Look, hey, now. But if God decides to bless us, we'll take the blessing.
I know that's right.
But no, we have one kid. Her name's Kendall Simone Brigance. She's 12. She'll be 13 this year. Beautiful child. Y'all see me on Instagram, Facebook. She loves to sing. She wants to be a musical theater. She wants to be on Broadway. So just pouring into her and loving her and developing her to be the woman that God had created her to be. So
right. And when I tell you, she looks just like you and Delana, like a mixture. Like, you can tell y'all are her parents, because y'all.
I'm glad you said that, because everybody's trying to say she looked like me, and I say she look like
Delana. Y'all. So pretty.
Oh, thank you.
And there's a picture behind
all my baby. Yeah.
Gosh. Okay. And so something else you said, it made me think about when I was in the classroom, and even now, our African American male boys, okay,
yes,
the teenagers, of how much sometimes they struggle. Okay. The environments that they grow up in, coming to school, they are carrying a lot.
Yes.
Why do you think it's so important for there to be some male mentoring for those boys?
Well, it's very important, and that's why I started mentoring, because what I recognize is that a lot of cultures already have mentoring in place, right? So when a kid expresses what they want and what they desire to do in their culture, what their parents do is they find someone who works in that field.
Right.
They get to go and explore those things. They get educated, they get information, they get exposure, they get opportunity, they get support, right?
Right.
And that's what our organization was based off of, was giving our young men exposure, opportunity, and support. So when you have a kid that wakes up every day, maybe they're in a household where their parents aren't telling them they love them. Maybe they're in a household where they don't have food on a regular basis. Maybe they're in a household where they care about their education, but the parents don't care. And that was,
Yes.
remember, we seen that even at your
Yes.
school when we was at Eastern Hills. The
Right.
kid wanted to be there, but the parents weren't doing the things that
Right.
they needed in order for the kid to be successful. So mentoring helps fill the gaps. It helps give them additional exposure, additional support, and additional opportunity to be the great person that they can be. And so when we connect with kids who are disengaged with school and they start figuring out what their strengths are, because think about that, the kids that are doing well are been told how well they are, have been told their strengths, have been developed in the areas that make them who they are, where we have a lot of students who aren't getting that because of their situation. And for me, that's not fair.
That's
Um, even when I started, it's unfair that there's a wait list for mentors from certain organizations. To me, that was not fair, you know? So, and even till this day, there's still a wait list for people to be mentored. And so it's very important that we step in and that we mentor these young men and help them see that whatever it is that they want to accomplish, they can accomplish it in the right way. It's
right.
not that they want to be a drug dealer. It's not that they want to be a gangster.
Yes.
It's just that they don't have any access to anything else. And so we have to create these paths for them. So in order for us to change our community, to change our environment, those are the students we need to be focused on. And that's what I built my mentor practitionership off of, is focusing on not just the okay student, but the student that's already been given up on, the student that's already been suspended a couple of times, because they need the support. They're actually the leaders, right?
They really are.
That's the one that's always getting in trouble and getting everybody else in trouble.
I'm putting right my feet. Your desk is right here. And I used to, I'm real with my kids.
Yeah.
When I'm in the classroom, I'm real with them. I would take them in the hallway if I had to and just had real conversations. Because they were dealing with real life. They needed some And so even now, at the high school level, I see some of the young men with the pants underneath, showing the boxes and different things like that. Now, I can say something, but something, I don't know, clicks with them when a man tells them that. I can tell them all day, but some things men want to hear or need to hear from other men.
But you got to remember, and we don't think about this. So let's just look at the single parent home, right? So who's raising the kid?
The mom.
Okay.
Or the kids.
And I'm not, listen, y'all, don't be mad at me. I'm not saying I love my wife. No, I love her. I love people.
Right.
I love mothers. But when he gets in trouble, what does he hear? I done told you, da 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 da, you da 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 da. And if that's all he's getting from that individual, right? That's a representation of a woman, and then he goes to school and he's getting the same thing from a representation of a woman. It's different when somebody say, "Hey, bro,
that's true.
Come here and let's talk about it," because we have to also change. And I'm not saying that women can't raise men to be great men, but in some cases, that's all they're getting it is from a woman. So when they do hear it from a man, when they do hear it, and then we present it not just as da 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 da, but hey, bro, I've already been there. I've already, what you about to go through, man?
Even better. Right. Because it's like, oh, hey, you know, my mama can't tell me anything, or this teacher can't tell me anything. She'll run.
Yeah.
That's their perspective. You were right
That's their
about that.
perspective. There's their
Yes.
perspective. And even like my mom was the disciplinarian in my household, in our household. So if I'm getting nagged at, not nagged at, I don't want to call it nagging, but if I'm trying to get discipline in the way that we're receiving discipline,
Right.
then it's hard for me to try to respect or get that discipline from another woman, from another, in another location,
That's true.
because I hear that all the time. And so we can change that by also changing the way we approach our kids, right? And I've been thinking about this, since we said we was going to do this, but we have to start treating all of our kids, male and female, as human beings, and approach them as if we wanted to be approached, so that they can understand how to grow, right? And so I think that's the part of mentorship that I love that I get to do. It's unlocking the brain. We say we want our kids to have a voice, but we never teach them how. Shut up, be quiet.
Yeah.
You don't know nothing. You just 15, you just 12, you just 13. Well, what they know is what they see, and what they see is what they saw was adults not doing things respectfully, responsibly. You know what I mean? They see that in. But I'm gonna be quiet. It's too
No.
much of an open book, but we also see it in the school system. So they see teachers
Yes.
not getting along. They see the cliques and the, you know what I mean?
Oh,
So
they see all of that.
they see all of that. So
Yep.
it's not that they don't know, they've been exposed and not have been properly taught how to manage and handle those things. So mentorship, to me, is so important, because we have to help our kids gain skills, knowledge, and things that they're not getting elsewhere. And it's not their fault. It's not the kids' fault they're not getting these things. And to me, that's the biggest thing. If I can do anything to help a student, to help a young adult, because they didn't receive the information, that's great. And that's when I turn to coaching. Now that you got the information, what you gonna do?
What you do? Like, and I think about that. Excuse me. And so I'm thinking about it even from the female perspective too, because if you think about it, some of these young girls don't have a father in the house. And excuse me, I remember me even growing up, and we're, transparent here at the open book. My father, my biological father, was not in our house. My mom, she raised me as a single mother. He was there financially. If I needed something, I knew who my father was. Then my stepfather came, he took over that role and, did what he was supposed to do in the house. He took care of us, provided for us. But there were certain things that we didn't have that relationship where he could share it with me. But I do thank God for my uncles, some that were young that would, give us the real talk of
right.
And different things like that. My mom, she did a whole lot. Like, she was very open and honest with us growing up. But then there are also things that a man can tell, even a woman. And I even posted yesterday on Facebook about what makes or made your father a great father. And it really crushed my heart, and my heart went out to these women. They said that the dad was absent. That's what they remember about the fathers. How many young girls have that story that daddy was absent, And so we choose men that are similar to what we see, growing up, or what we accept. And so with that, thinking about a father, and you have plenty of experience with this, what are some things that make men a good father? What are some things that stand out to you?
The only thing that makes a man a good father is time.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Time. And we talk about this all the time. Like, it's not what you pay for, it's not what you've done, it's you spending time with your kid. Like, we done bought Kendall the world. Kendall does a whole lot of stuff. But you know what she really enjoys? She really enjoys when we go for a walk. And she really enjoys when I come and I pester her and ask her questions and get in her business. And, she enjoys the time that I spend with her. So what are some things that make fathers great dads? Is spending time with your kids. And this is almost a twisted conversation here, because we have to also recognize that it's hard for fathers to find time to spend with their kids, right?
Always
We
work.
want them to be the protector. We want them to, take care of the house. We want them to take care of me. We want them to take, and you want them to take care of their kids, right? And so time is important. So we have to learn how to manage our time, but we also need the help in order for those things to happen. And that's some of the things that we do in our household. Delina see and notice, like if I've been gone, she'll be like, hey, your baby misses you. So what that means is that I need to get in there and spend some time with my child. Same thing with my wife. I'll be like, y'all know what? Y'all need to go walking. Y'all need to go to the mall. Y'all need to go, do something so that we can spend time with our kid. So the most important thing the father can do is spend time with them. The next thing is give your kids affirmations. Tell them how much you love them. Tell them how beautiful they are. Tell them how, and honestly, sis, I just realized that with all the work that I do, I need to speak more into my little sisters. I need to speak more. We did something last week at our school where we had all the fifth, or a handful of the fifth graders come in, and my part that was placed on my heart was I wanted to talk to them as a father, right? And I said, you know what? You're beautiful, you're smart, and you can accomplish anything. And they just looked at me like, nobody ever called me beautiful before, or my daddy doesn't call me beautiful. Doesn't make sense.
That's so sweet.
It's a one thing for your teachers to call you smart, but it's another thing for a man of influence to tell you you're smart. You know what I mean? It's and that you can accomplish anything. Not that you can accomplish anything because you can go out there and just drum up stuff, but you have the ability to make the life that you want to make. And we have to start speaking those things into our kids' lives. Like, I look at my child as a gift. My child is a gift to me. And so in order for me to unravel what that gift is, I got to get through the silliness. I got to get through the laziness. I got to get through the anger. I got to get through the right. And then when I see, oh, look at you can sing very well, I pour into that by speaking into those things and bringing those things up. So giving affirmation, speak life into your kids, spend time with your kids. And then last thing is protect them. Protect them. Now, it's 2021, y'all. So it's not like, they sneaking out the house and going, staying out late. Like, that's when we were growing up. So we have to change our protection. Like, really, literally put time limits on their phones. If you're giving them a phone, if they have a phone in your house, put some time limits on it. Help them protect their time, right? What are they looking at? Are they on Roblox? Are they on YouTube? Are they on, like, these are some things, like, we talk about protection. We like, well, ain't no man coming up in this house. They ain't got to come up in the house. They coming through the internet.
They're looking at the wrong stuff.
Snapchat.
I'm glad you said that, because the other day, because my daughter, and we have to watch her because YouTube, although it's kid-friendly TV, sometimes they have inappropriate things on there. And my husband, he always catches it. I really don't catch it, but he'll catch the curse words. I was like, they cursed in there. A video that's inappropriate. We don't do that kind of dancing up in here. I don't videos. And so he catches that, and he gets on her about that. But I'm glad that you said that needs to come from men sometimes, even with girls,
Yeah, definitely.
Women like me, I do the affirmations to my kids in the mornings when we go to school. But there are certain things that, and I think people pour from what they were given, and sometimes examples in the life that they lived, I should say. But some people didn't get that as a child. So they don't know how to give that. And so sometimes I may have to say, babe, tell her, that's good. Or I have to remind him to.
But watch this. Because don't nobody tell us that.
Right. That's true. That is so.
Because nobody tell us how great we are, how good we are, how, you're a man. That's why I really, really love mentoring men, and especially fathers, is because nobody ever told me, nobody ever pulls me inside and say, hey, Kevin, you're a great dad. Like, nobody ever does it make sense? The praise is not always consistent, even as a boy. Like, it's either man up or don't be a punk. Like, there
Yep.
is no in
Yep.
between
That's true.
uplifting in that, right? So
Mhm.
it's hard for me to express to my child how much I love her if nobody ever told me how much they love me outside of my wife,
Right.
which we can get really deep in that one, but
I know.
like,
That's a whole nother hour.
because before I fell in love, I was really just trying to get with her. You know what I mean?
I hope she sees this.
Look, she just looked at me out the corner of her eye like, boy, shut up. But really, seriously, so for men, it is difficult. But I wanted to say this, sis, that it has been scientifically proven that kids, grade school kids, will
Right.
increase their reading skills if men would read to them.
Ooh. And see, I'm gonna tell my husband to watch that particular part for sure.
Yes.
Because like they'll bring me books and I'll read the book. My husband doesn't want to sit there and read. I love reading, but
But
he doesn't
it,
want to.
it's it's scientifically proven that their vocabulary and their like words and catching on to the language will increase
Ah,
rapidly faster than those reading from any other type of reading. And it's because of the bass in the voice, and it's also because of the character, because oftentimes dads, we're not gonna just go get a book because we don't want to read the book, right? So
right.
we're not just gonna get the book and be like la da 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 da. We gonna always find a character and we gonna talk bad about the character and we gonna be like, you see what the character did. But that's what they need someone who can engage them. But fathers, so if I know that as a dad, me reading to my kid and engaging my kid with books is important, so anything that I say now
Ooh,
has an impact.
you are about to preach on here. Come on, go. Okay, elaborate on that point. Because see,
Because think about that. Think
wow,
about that. So if it's scientifically proven, if I had a book and when I'm reading to my kid and me reading to them, they're hearing the words and my actions and the things that
yeah,
I say to them from the book impacts them and helps them grow, then why wouldn't what I say away from the book? So just the thing to say, hey, Kendall, I noticed you have improved this week on, getting your stuff done. That's been great.
right,
Oh, that's a boost, an additional boost because it came from the guy. It came
yes,
from, it doesn't make sense.
it does make sense.
They like always get it from the ladies. The young men, if we don't get it from from the guy, guess what? That little girl across go like me. She gonna be like,
Right,
but
right.
to get it from a guy, and oftentimes even in the school system, right? And I get to see it in the school system. We don't compliment each other. We want to talk about your haircut. We want
Yeah,
to talk about your shoes. We want to talk about, you know what I mean? And so we don't compliment one another. But when I tell the kids, like I did at the end of this year with our groups for men of color, I said, you know what? I went to each student and I told them what I saw in them and what I think that they can improve on the next year. And you should see their eyes go from a to a oh,
wow.
oh, okay. So I am smart, or I am a person that loves other people. You did notice the good things in me because we see so much of the bad things pointed out, right? And so when you get in trouble and you get a man, you have y'all got dog? Anybody got a dog?
No,
If you
we
got
don't.
it, if y'all don't have a dog, you should check
I
though.
used
You
to
should
have one.
check. But watch this. Dogs with a female voice, if you tell them to sit, they'll be
Yeah.
like, all right. But
Okay.
if you get a dude in there, be like, hey, sit.
Right. Like with my
They sit
son.
right on there.
I said, well, how come when I say, hey, stop, stop, y'all sit down. But as soon as daddy come in there, hey, y'all better stop. They freeze and sit down. Okay. And like it's been a couple of instances with my son. Y'all pray for him because he was having some developmental issues in daycare. I mean, it was all kind of stuff. So, I would sit there and have a conversation after we did affirmations. We would have a
Mhm.
conversation and, maybe he would have a good day and it will fall off. As soon as my husband started talking to him about it, he got it together. So the voice and the tone, it does
the
matter.
it's the voice,
It
it's the bass of the
does.
voice. It does matter, but it's also, I think it's something. It just says something to be recognized. You know
Right.
what I mean? To be acknowledged by the guy in your life. You
Right.
know what I mean? And even one of the things that so we've been talking about what makes good fathers great. What are some characteristics? Is even when we extend ourselves as fathers. Does that make sense? What
Okay.
do I mean? even though I'm a dad in my house, I could be a dad to this kid that doesn't have anybody just by
Yeah.
extending myself with my presence, right? And I think that's what helps me be a great mentor, is because I take the same love that I would have for my kid.
Right.
I give it to the kids that need it. You know, I
Just
tell them I
empty
love them.
of
I
them.
give them I give them a hug. I give them a high five or a fist bump. I give them that positivity that they need in order so they can grow and be well too. Listen, dads, if you got kids around your kids and they need a father figure and you not that one, you
Yeah.
missing it. You're missing it big time. Why? And we got to think that's who your child hanging out with.
Yes. And you know what, Kev? Like, okay, my thing is it used to be like that back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in
Mm-hmm.
Houston, and it wasn't just the men, but we had the women too.
Mm-hmm.
I spent a lot of time with my grandmother at her house while my mom was
Mm-hmm.
working and so forth. Well, I knew my neighbors and my cousins next door. All of us, we get together. Any one of them could say something to us, you know,
Right.
or, you know, we would all hang out and we would all talk, or the
Mm-hmm.
men would get together and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have a lot of that now. You don't
Yeah.
see a lot of groups of women. Oh, you know, this my child. You can get on them. People can never too. You better not say anything to my child like that. They don't want you. You want your help.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
men, it's hard for them because they're out working
Yeah.
2, 3 jobs, you know, trying to provide right now for their families to
Mm-hmm.
really get together and build that bond. But that, when I tell you, when we get back to that point where, you know, you may not be my child, but I'll take you under my wing, we
Yeah.
will see a lot of things change.
But I think it's important for fathers to build the community, right? And
Yes,
I think I
right.
I think that's one of the issues we're having right now today. So why don't we see it in today's, one of your standards is community, but why don't we see community really being built is because so many men have been shut out. And so everybody is kind of building things, sprinkling here and there. Why you see so many
Yes.
churches on every corner? Because instead
Yes.
of coming together and building together, my way is better than this way. And so I think what we have to do is we have to just start loving each other.
Yeah, we have to
Period.
start
Like just forget about how you're doing it. Like, and if there's some correction, accept it. But if you don't want to do it that way, don't do it that way. Like parent the way that you feel like is best, but making sure that parenting is out of love and not out of, hate. You know what I mean? There's so many kids that are growing up hating people, and
Oh
that's
yeah.
just because we're not giving enough love. And those people who need help and support, they don't want your help support because they don't see the product, right? It's when they start seeing what have you produced out of, you want to help me, but you ain't showing me what you helping me with, you know what I mean,
Right.
from what are you doing so much better than what I'm hearing is your kid bad, your kid bad, your kid bad. Well,
Mhm.
first of all, my kid ain't bad.
Right.
Second of all, maybe I don't have the skills to. And that's why we started the Dads on Purpose virtual meetup, is because we wanted to start a community where fathers can learn skills, where fathers can be decompressed, you know what I mean, from the
Yeah.
life of being a man and a dad. So where fathers can really grow up and be able to build great communities where they are.
And you know, like, and that's important. You know, my husband recently, once things kind of started opening back up, I started going out with my homegirls again, out to eat. And so he said something that stood out to me. He was like, man, you always going out, you know, somewhere. But my husband does not really have a whole lot of friends, you know, like
Yeah.
that. And so when I saw your program, I said, babe, you need to be a part of that because that men do need a
Mm-hmm.
break sometimes. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I know
Mm-hmm.
women, we find time to go to the grocery store, we go here,
Yeah.
take hours, get our little moment. But men also need a break.
We do.
Yeah, y'all need a break. That is like y'all can talk to men about us, getting on y'all's nerves. Getting on y'all's nerves. Because we definitely do it.
Right, right. And that's going to be on the podcast this week. We actually talked about like just the connection of men. Like when we become and that's the part that y'all don't see. Like
Mhm.
y'all see us just being dad and we not cleaning baby bottles and stuff,
Right.
but our life changes. Like our life changes just as dramatically as yours does because
That's true.
on the inside, naturally on the inside, I don't want to go out anymore.
Right.
I have my kid. Like I remember the first 2 weeks probably, and my boys hit me up and was like, "Hey man, Thursday night we gonna be there." Man, Kendall was already sleep, curled up in a really small ball, already sleep on my chest. I was like, "Nah, bro, I ain't gonna be able to make it. I gotta put Kendall to sleep, right?" But then now that puts me in a totally different group because my boys that don't have a newborn, you know, they are, because let me see, some of them already had a kid,
Okay.
being single fathers, and some of us that didn't have kids. So now my social life has changed,
Right.
and connecting with other fathers, we're busy.
That's
Like we
cool.
working, we cutting
Right.
the grass, we taking care of the house. We cut, so when we do get a break, you know what I mean, and try to catch up with our dads that aren't, you know, as or dads or friends that aren't as nailed down as we are,
Right.
it's different. It's different. So we have to find a new group, and those groups aren't always readily available. But then when you start taking your kid to school, when you start, you know, doing the extracurricular activities, you
Yes.
start falling into those dad groups. And dads, we have to be, I said the only way you spend time with your, I mean, the best way to be a father to your kid is to spend time with your kid.
Right.
Don't be mad going, man. Y'all can ask my wife. I want her to come on camera and say, I go
Come
to the,
on, bring
I
her
went to
on
the
if she wants to.
dance studio. I go to the dance studio and not drop her off, sit at the dance studio
Oh,
for 4 hours because she wants me there. Does it make sense?
wow.
We have to start being present in those moments, not just, you know, because you
Yeah.
want them to play football, but because they want to see you at the football game. You probably never make a practice in your life, but the football game, they
Yes.
want to see you there. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The concert playing a cornet and you don't know what the cornet is and what it sounds like. They want you there,
Right.
but spending time with your kids is so important. And so that was one of the things that I really got to be able to be a part of, picking them up. But we have to get actively involved, not just they sitting in the bouncer and you playing Xbox and
On the cell
PS5.
phone,
Hey,
social media.
yeah,
Tell you this,
yes,
not just being there, but being present. That's
being present.
important. Like, oh my gosh, that is so important.
Mm-hmm,
And it was times when I wanted my family at some of our football games. You know, I did marching band, and
mm-hmm,
you know, I just know, you know, my mom had health issues or whatever. But during that time, it would have been great to have a father there. You know,
yeah,
my biological dad missed my wedding and every milestone. My
wow,
with her health issues made almost all of those milestones. So
wow,
it matters, you know. And like I said, my father, my stepfather, was there. He was
yeah,
there. And I thank God for that because as young girls, we do need to see that, and especially
mm-hmm,
young men.
mm-hmm,
So my husband, you know, I know his father passed away, so he saw some of that, but you know, now he has to continue
mm-hmm,
with that and learn and start new things with our children. And so
yeah,
I'm glad that you said that, being
yeah.
present.
And I'm gonna tackle this because I think it's important, and it's all oftentimes we're just talking about dads that's not dealing with anything.
Right.
Mamas, let these daddies see their kids. Like if they on child support and they on this
That's a
visitation
whole nother
stuff, like it's a whole nother
that's
subject, but
good.
it's so important.
It's
It's
important.
so important. Like we want to say we want to stop these
Uh,
systems and these. Well, what's in the best interest for your kid is to have the honestly your child should have the house and you and him should be rotating in and out the house, you know what I
yes.
mean,
Yes.
so that your kid can have some normalcy. But since that's not the case,
Right.
figure it out. Like maybe you have an issue with him, but let your child figure out what his bad stuff is. Now I'm not
Especially if
saying
he's the
put you
father that wants to be there and wants to do
exactly.
those types of things. Right.
Exactly, because believe it or not, there's so many men who want to be a like. I put a post on that. I was like, when are we gonna
Yeah.
stop? When
Yeah.
are we gonna change the story? Like we said we want present fathers. There's so many dads that want to be present, but they can't because the mother of the child or whatever circumstances or situations are hindering them from making that a connection.
Right.
Like, bro, all they're getting is every other weekend.
Right. Just every other weekend.
Come on, like
And you get a break too, but some women, And this is real talk. They are really bitter about
Mm-hmm.
what happened. And, I had to go through some of that too, because my husband was married previously and I have a stepdaughter. I consider
Mm-hmm.
my daughter too. And we had to go through that, some phases of that. But I think sometimes, not saying this is the case with her, but sometimes women are bitter and in their feelings, but you don't realize the impact that you're
Yeah.
having on that child
Yeah.
doing that. You
Yeah.
still want to give them the chance to build a relationship with their father or their mother, if the
Absolutely.
dad has the custody, or their mother, especially
Absolutely.
if that person wants to spend time with
Absolutely.
that
And
child.
I've worked with some kids where it's not good at the other person's house. And if that's the case, protect your child.
Yes.
But if the father wants to be involved, if he's trying, listen, if he's trying, and that's what I also have to, I hope people see, like, y'all get 9 months,
Right.
then you get additional 6 months because you're
Right.
breastfeeding and you trying to wing them off. We don't get that. We
That's
don't
true.
get, so it's like
The
us
bonding.
trying to make those connections and those bonds
Mhm.
early in life. It's 0 to 3 are the most important moments in a child's life, bonding with parents and experiencing life. And so if we don't make it in the best interest of the child and not in the best interest of me and what works for me right now on
Right.
both sides of it, because I know the fellas will come in and be like, well, I want them on this day.
Uh-huh.
Hey, bro, you got to be flexible. You know what I mean? And we can't, and we have to figure out how to make it work that works best for, like, if you got every other weekend, my challenge for Father's Day. Here's my Father's Day challenge.
Oh, challenge. Uh-oh.
If you only got every other weekend, or you not as present as you would like to be with your kid, your goal for the next month is figure out how can you be more present. If you're a single mother and you want him to be more present, figure out how you can have more open communication so that he can't say, like, man, I didn't have the opportunity. Doesn't make
Right.
sense.
Yeah.
Like, we cannot continue to hold this a funnel where we're the ones that change this dialogue,
Yeah.
right? So that's my challenge for it, is let's increase the presence of time with our kids as fathers and as parents and what we do with our kids, because to me,
That's so true.
you can buy your kid everything. You can
Woo.
give your kid the world. You can have fun. Like, they don't have to worry about college fund and everything. But if you're not present in your kid's life, if you're not giving them affirmations, if you're not protecting them, they're not gonna be good.
Right. No, that's so true because and I think about that even from the teacher side. A lot of times, we're up here teaching. Kids don't remember curriculum. They will remember how you made them feel and were you there for them. Same
Hmm.
thing when I grew up. Yeah, there were moments when I was still a child. I remember getting toys galore, but I also remember my mom. I slept in the same bed while my mom was single until I was 6. Okay. I remember always having a closeness with my mom.
Yeah.
I remember those times when we struggled and just having fun. Now you think back, those were the times when we got closer.
Hmm.
When we struggled, lights off, we huddling together. So it's like being there, being present, always. I remember
Yeah.
those things. So as parents, our children, they're watching us. They're
Hmm.
saying, okay, and so my kids, my son especially, is my shadow. Everywhere I go, he is there. And I'm to the point I was like, whoo, but I had to stop. I was like, you know what? Let me enjoy this because
Hmm.
there is going to be
Hmm.
a time when he's going to want to spend time with his friends, his little
Absolutely.
girlfriend,
Hmm.
all of that. And I'm going to wish that he was here and had that
Hmm.
closeness. So
Hmm.
they grow up so fast. We have to
They
make
do.
the most out of every moment
Yeah.
while we have them here with us in
Yeah.
a close setting. Well, we could talk probably all night on this topic. I have thoroughly. I'm watching the clock because I know that we
Right. Get talking.
talking. This has been, when I
Right.
tell you, a much needed conversation. And I'm hoping that we have a lot of fathers that will jump on and watch this because you have given a lot of nuggets tonight. And
Awesome.
thank you just so, so much for coming on tonight
No problem.
and being a part. Do you have any other words to say to any fathers?
These are my closing words, because we ended off talking about the struggle between single parents and fathers who aren't in the household. Don't stop fighting. Whatever you do, don't stop fighting to be present with your kids, to be in your kids' life. Don't stop fighting. Fathers who are in the household, be more intentional. Be more intentional. Be more intentional with your time. Be more intentional with your time with your kids. Be more intentional with the activities that you do.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't want them to be on YouTube, be engaging. Like, we bought rollerblades, so we go out, she rollerblades, I skateboard,
Right.
she has a puppy, I'm making an activity out of it, so we go walking, and then while we're walking, I start asking random questions and getting her life. Like, we have to be intentional, because it's not our kids' job to develop the relationship, it's our job to develop the relationship with them. And like my sister said, they grow up quick. But watch this: if I'm intentional about the way that I want them to be, the way that I want to raise my kid, I don't have to worry about when the boyfriend show up. Why? Because she already know how we rock. She gotta be like, "Hey, bro, if you want anything to happen, you need to come and hang out with us." You know what I mean? Like, that's me being intentional and making sure that I'm being the best man that I can be, making sure that I can be the best father that I can be, and making sure that I can be the best co-parent that I can be.
Wow. When I tell you, whoo, this has been awesome. I agree with all of this. I mean, it is so much needed. And like you said, hearing it from a male, someone who's in the trenches, mentoring during, doing these things during actually a pandemic, still, you were doing this. It really, really helps to hear it from your perspective and what you've seen in this line of work. So thank you, Kevin, for coming on tonight and blessing us with all of the things you discussed about fatherhood. This is Men's Month to our audience, and we have another special pop-up treat for you all coming at the end of this month on June 29th. So make sure you're listening out, watching our Facebook page, social media pages for that information. But we hope that all of the fathers will have a great, great Father's Day next Sunday. Women, do not just give them the big piece of chicken. Do not just give them these tools. We heard of some good gifts tonight. Let's go give them some massages, getting their nails done, and all of that. Okay, we heard some great gift ideas, and I actually want to do that. So thank you all so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Have a great evening.